All right. Hello, hello, welcome everybody. I am super excited to be sharing this training with you today. I've really been spending the last nearly 6 months doing a deep dive into the mental fitness framework for transformation and really been learning how to integrate it into my work. So I've done it with myself and really seen a lot of positive effects in my life, including just feeling much more confident, less of the negative thought patterns. And I'm really excited to be sharing it with my community, with my clients. And if you're new to me and my work, I want to introduce myself. My name is Mary Ellen Flesher, and I am a transformational life coach. And so basically, what that means is that I help people change who they are being in order that they can get better results in life. And I typically work with people who've figured out how to be successful in work, but they're still struggling with their relationships. They still struggle with how they feel about their lives, how they feel about their success, almost like they're constantly on this, wheel that they can never really fully appreciate or get to where they're wanting to be. I do this work because I really enjoy helping people to see the patterns in their lives, but through a compassionate lens. For me, that was hugely transformative because I had the pattern of judging myself and being critical of myself. And as soon as I shifted into that more compassionate lens, everything changed. So I love helping people do that. I really see that our society is, values the mental, our thoughts, being successful through the what we can do strategically or through our mind, and has really cut us off from our bodies, from our emotions. And it's almost like we're walking around as half humans. There's this full range of what being a human is, and most of us are living up in our heads. So I really believe it's time for us to reclaim our bodies, our inner knowing, reclaim our personal power. And from there, that will transform our relationships to ourselves and our relationships to everyone, and ultimately make the world a better place. So that's a little bit about me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in order to walk you through some slides that I have prepared. All right, so we are here. I'm going to be teaching you all about mental fitness and ultimately how to grow the 3 core mental muscles to thrive in health, wealth, and relationships. We as humans, we really are driven by these 3 areas in our life. If we have the health, if we have the relationships, if we have that success in our careers, that's what we're all striving for, is to have those successes. So this framework can really support all areas of your life. So mental fitness, what is this thing called mental fitness? So the definition is your capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than negative mindset. And the way that this impacts your life is it positively impacts your peak performance, your peace of mind and wellness, and your relationships. So the mental fitness framework is based on breakthrough and original research by Shirzad Kameen and the synthesis of recent discoveries across neuroscience, positive psychology, cognitive behavioral psychology, and performance science. And the results of this research that Shirzad has done are from hundreds of CEOs and their executive teams, Stanford students, world-class athletes, and over 500,000 participants from 50 countries. And you can learn and read more about the research behind this in Shirzad's book, The Positive Intelligence, which is a New York Times bestseller and has been translated into 20 languages. So the results that he found is that he really narrowed down mental fitness to 3 core muscles. If you can work on these 3 core areas, you can shift from that more negative mindset into the positive mindset. So those 3 areas or muscles are the saboteur interceptor. And I know you're not going to know what these are right now, but we're going to get into that in just a little bit. So there's the saboteur interceptor, the sage muscle, and the self-command muscle. And he also discovered that there are 10 saboteurs, or 10 ways that people tend to sabotage themselves, and that there are 5 sage powers that can help you build up stronger mental muscle and quiet those saboteurs. So the saboteur interceptor muscle is your ability to catch yourself when the saboteur is in control of your mind, and to choose differently, to make a different choice in the moment. The judge is a saboteur that we all have. And I just want to say that this doesn't mean that you should judge yourself or judge others. I know it doesn't feel good when we're being judged by others. It doesn't feel good to judge others. But start to have a compassionate lens to these parts of yourself, because they're really there because they think they're helping us. And in some ways, maybe they do help us, but we get to a point when it's just keeping us feeling stuck, keeping us in those same old patterns, keeping us in the negative emotions. So not judging these parts of ourselves, but entering, understanding your saboteurs with curiosity and awareness, because then you have more ability to change in the moment. So the judge has 3 modes. The first mode is the self-judgment. So maybe you know that, maybe you're familiar with judging yourself, critical, self-doubt, that internal mind chatter of just judgment of yourself. The second mode is the judge of others. So always needing to find what's wrong versus what's right with other people. This creates tension in relationships. This doesn't create closeness. And the third mode, which is a little sneakier, is the way that the judge is looking for what's wrong in situations and circumstances of your life. You can kind of think of this like, if this is happening, this is bad, and I'm not going to be happy until things change. So judging situations as bad and not being happy until they change. So there are also 9 accomplice saboteurs. They have different motivations and different styles. There's the controller, the hyperachiever, the restless one. There's the stickler, the pleaser, the hypervigilant one. And there is the avoider, the victim, and the hyper-rational. So as you're looking at these, and if you had a chance to do the saboteur assessment, you will have more clarity around which ones you tend to do most often. I really invite you to just be thinking about how these ways might be showing up in your life. How do they cause you stress? How do they sabotage your performance, your happiness, your relationships? And when you have the awareness of these patterns, it ultimately gives you more opportunity to have choice in difficult situations and to choose differently. So the saboteur assessment, once you do that, it basically ranks these 9 additional saboteurs. Everybody has the judge, and then these 9, it ranks them in order of, how often you access them or they're taking over in your thoughts. And the great thing about this is we don't have to work on every single one. You really want to hone in on the top 2, 3, 4 saboteurs. When you start to quiet those saboteurs, all the other ones start to quiet as well. So it might look like, oh no, I've got all these saboteurs, but it's not true. It's really the top few that start to kind of sabotage our lives. So in this example, this is James, just a fictitious person. His top saboteur is the controller. He's also got the avoider, hypervigilant, and pleaser. These other ones below, not so much. And then when you get into the details about each saboteur, these descriptions help you to see the ways the saboteur is lying to you and to be able to catch these moments, catch these thoughts in your head or these characteristics that you might be acting out. So in this example, the stickler, perfectionism and a need for order and organization taken too far. So it's this perfectionism taken too far. Characteristics to look for are punctual, methodical, perfectionist, can be irritable, tense, opinionated, sarcastic, highly critical of self and others, strong need for self-control and self-restraint, works overtime to make up others' sloppiness and laziness, and is highly sensitive to criticism. So the thoughts that you can look for when the stickler's kind of taken over your thoughts is right is right and wrong is wrong. I know the right way. If you can't do it perfectly, don't do it at all. Others are often just have too lax standards. I need to be more organized and methodical than others so things get done. And I hate mistakes. So these, once you do the assessment, the descriptions for all of these are in that as well. So the saboteurs and the sage, they live in different parts of the brain. So when we're in our saboteurs or the saboteurs are taking over our thoughts, we're actually activating the brainstem, the limbic system, and different parts of the left brain. On the other side, on the flip side of things, when you're in your sage, you're activating the middle prefrontal cortex, the empathy circuitry, and parts of the right brain. So really, we're in totally two different parts of the brain when we're in our saboteurs versus the sage. The saboteurs motivate you through the negative emotions. So things like fear, stress, anger, guilt, shame, insecurity, all of those tell you, oh, my saboteurs are active. When we're in the sage part of the brain, this sage motivates you through the positive emotions. So empathy, curiosity, creativity, passion, and purpose. So you might get success through the saboteurs taking over, having that stickler, the perfectionist, that might help you be successful and people rely on you. But ultimately, it doesn't allow for lasting happiness. When we generate success through our sage part of the brain, we're successful and we have sustained happiness. So you might be thinking, are negative emotions good for you? And I work with a lot of high achievers that think, yeah, some of these negative emotions like stress are great because it motivates me to achieve my goals and it pushes me forward. And if that's something that resonates with you, my question to you is pain good for you? So just be thinking about this picture, putting your hand on a hot stove. How long do you want to feel or need to feel that pain before you do something about it? Literally just a split second. That's all it takes. So pain is good for you for a split second. If you leave your hand there too long, you're going to get burnt. So the same goes for emotions. it's good to feel stress. It's good to feel discomfort in dangerous situations, or when you have a work project that's really important. It's good to have that those more difficult emotions. Um, but how long do you need to feel that in order to make change? So thinking about these negative emotions as the thing that triggers you to wake up and to make changes in your life. If you stay in the negative emotions, your mind tends to loop in the negative. The saboteurs like to loop in the negative, and you're just building up more of the negative. But if you can shift your brain from the more negative, the saboteur parts, to the sage, you have access to clear headedness, you have access to being able to problem solve, and those more positive emotions. So you just feel better and more motivated to get whatever is important done. So this boils down to negative emotions are really only helpful for the 1 second as an alert system. Staying in the negative, it hurts your ability to see clearly and respond with empathy, curiosity, creativity, or laser focused action. And ultimately, you can think of when I'm in a negative emotion, when I'm experiencing a difficult emotion, my saboteurs are active. So that can give you that alert. Okay, my saboteur is active. How can I interrupt that? So the next muscle and where the positive emotions reside are in the sage muscle. So the sage lives in the region of the brain associated with positive emotions, peace and calm, clear-headed focus, creativity, big picture thinking, and it operates from the sage perspective. So what is the sage perspective? The sage perspective is every outcome or circumstance can be turned into a gift or opportunity. I'll say that again. Every outcome or circumstance can be turned into a gift and opportunity. So that might sound a little stupid or untrue, especially if you're in your saboteur part of the brain. You know, how could every challenge be a gift, or how could everything that's difficult that I'm going through be a gift? So I want to give an example through the stallion story. And this is a fable from Taoist China. So the story goes that this farmer has a stallion. It is his prized possession. And he decides to enter it into a village competition. And the stallion wins first prize. His neighbors come over and they just are thrilled. They're congratulating him. You must be so happy your stallion won first place. And the farmer says, who knows what is good and what is bad? A week later, thieves learn of this prize stallion, and they come in the nighttime and they steal the stallion from the farmer. The neighbors come back over and they say, oh, this is horrible, horrible that somebody stole your prized possession. Your stallion is gone. And the farmer says, who knows what is good and what is bad? Weeks go by, and then the stallion returns once again, finds his home back with the farmer. And it's not only the stallion, but he's found other mares that have followed him. So not only does he have the stallion, he now has these other horses. His neighbors are thrilled, and they come back and they tell him, oh, this is wonderful. Your stallion came back. You must be so happy. And look, he's brought all these other horses. This is such good news. And the farmer once again says, who knows what is good and what is bad? And the neighbors are starting to think, yeah, he's kind of crazy. Okay, what's up with the farmer? And they go home. And a short while later, the farmer's son is out riding the stallion, and he ends up falling off and breaking his leg. The neighbors are so sad for the son. They're saying how horrible this is. They're coming over to the farmer again and just sharing how sad they are for him. And he says once again, who knows what is good and what is bad? So a week or so later, a war breaks out. The army is going from village to village, looking for any able-bodied males, adult males, to fight the war. But they can't take the son. The son can't fight the war because of his broken leg. The neighbors don't even come over to congratulate him because they already know what he's going to say. Who knows what is good and what is bad? So this is really profound wisdom and helps to put the sage perspective of making every challenge into a gift and opportunity into perspective. And I just want to share that, in this story, the farmer is more of this passive role. He's kind of sitting back. He knows that everything that's bad can change into something good. Everything good can change to something bad. And he's kind of just accepting what is. So that's more of this passive role. But with this sage perspective, you can really take more of an active approach to this perspective. You can trust life. You can trust that everything happens for a reason. And you can even look at it as like a self-fulfilling prophecy, where if I'm going to look at every challenge as a gift and opportunity, that puts me into more of my sage part of my brain, where I have access to creativity, clear thinking, centeredness. So from that angle, I can ultimately get out of this challenging situation. But on the flip side, if I'm always seeing these negatives, these difficult challenges as just something bad, I'm going to spiral in the negative. So there really is a choice point here. We can choose to follow the saboteurs. Maybe that's a more habitual way of being, or we can choose to have this sage perspective and to choose to see the gift in everything that happens. So which perspective is true? The saboteur, this is bad, or the sage, this is a gift? And ultimately, it is whichever one you believe. That is what will become true. So that brings us to the third mental muscle, the muscle of self-command. And I have a question for you. Do you think that you are truly in command of your mind? You think you have ultimate control over your mind, your thoughts? And if you struggle with stress, with overwhelm, challenges in your relationship, maybe self-doubt, criticism, that judging yourself, others, or circumstances, ultimately your saboteurs are taking over and you don't have total control over your mind. So how do we get control over our mind? That's where the PQ rep comes in. So PQ stands for positive intelligence quotient. And it's just like, doing reps at the gym with weights and building your muscle. Doing these PQ reps can help to build your mental muscle and your ability to self-command your mind. So I want you to practice with me. This is just a short example of a PQ rep. And you're going to take your 2 fingers and you're just going to slowly begin to rub them together with total attention to the sensation, beginning to feel the ridges of your fingerprints, beginning to feel the pressure, the tension of those fingers rubbing together. And that's it. That's one rep, is just 10 seconds. And with those 10 seconds, you quiet the region of the brain where the saboteurs live, and you awaken the part of the brain, the parts of the brain where your sage lives. And imagine if you do this throughout the day, several times a day. You're really building that mental muscle to be able to choose, okay, I'm not going to choose saboteur, I'm going to choose my sage today. It really builds up the neural pathways. You know, when you think about this on the neuroscience level, the more you do a habituated activity or choice, the easier it is to do that. It's hard to change our behaviors. We have to do it over and over again to make those neural pathways stronger, directed to the sage. So the other thing about the PQ reps is it's not just this one feeling your fingertips. There's hundreds of ways to do it. You can use your senses, your hearing, your sight. You can do it while you're driving the car. You can do it while you're having conversations. It's really in the moment of bringing awareness to the present moment. So if you're familiar with mindfulness meditation, this is similar to that. It's just breaking it down to these simple acts. You don't have to be a skilled meditator. You don't have to sit in silence. You can do these in moments of stress. You can do these to shift your brain activity from the negative to the positive, to help you stop stress, stop any upset, and to focus and be able to act from a more calm mind. So when you think about it, we don't get an operating system or an operating manual for life. We come into this life and we learn through experiences, but we don't have like a strategy to follow. And that's where this mental fitness strategy comes in, this framework. So the first thing is, if you're feeling a negative emotion, that's your signal to stop. You're in the saboteur mode. Second, do some PQ reps to quiet those saboteurs and activate your sage. 3, assume the sage perspective, that every problem can be converted into a gift and opportunity. And then 4, generate the gift by using the sage powers like empathy, curiosity, creativity, and calm, clear-headed action. It's really as simple as that. That's what's so wonderful about this framework, is that really makes it easy so you can do it in challenging times. You don't have to remember a lot. It's super simple, broken down to just the basics. So is it really possible to shift from saboteur to sage, even in really hard times when, you know, life is just super challenging? And yes, the answer is yes, but the speed and depth of your ability to shift really depends on that mental muscle. So that mental muscle, and I've been doing, working on my own personal growth and transformation literally since I was 13 years old. I've been working with clients for over 8 years. And I know this to be true, that the insights, the breakthroughs aren't true, full transformation. Transformation happens when you're building your your mental muscle. Transformation happens when you start to live those insights and to be them in your life. So what it requires is intense initial practice. It takes that repetition, that practice over and over again to create those new neural pathways, to make this way of being more automatic. And Shirzad has discovered that it takes 15 minutes a day for about 6 to 8 weeks to really integrate and live more from your sage perspective. And he gives this example. You can't defeat a gang of 10 bandits by sending one new fighter per day for 100 days. It's going to take more than that. So I'm super excited to be incorporating this work into my work with my clients. And I'm offering this program, the Mental Fitness Bootcamp, for a special introductory offer. And what the bootcamp entails is 8 weekly calls with me as your accountability and success coach. So that might be one-on-one or in small groups. Those groups will be anywhere from 2-3 people to maybe 6 or 7. Each week for 6 weeks in the program, you'll watch 1 hour worth of videos. Those become available on Saturdays, so you have the weekend or Monday to watch them. And then you're going to be doing 15 minutes a day of practice in the app. So the app is there to guide you through these PQ reps, to remember to do them throughout the day, and to really start to build your mental fitness. You also have access to the Positive Intelligence book. The audio book is available as well, and access to the PQ app for 1 full year. So with all of that said, I invite you to just think for a moment, how might building your mental muscles of the saboteur interceptor, the sage muscle, and the self-command muscle, how might that change your life if you were able to drop the self-sabotaging patterns and to live more from your wise center? How might that change your life? And is that worth 15 minutes a day for 6 to 8 weeks? Could you commit to that for 6 to 8 weeks? Well, if this is something that sounds exciting for you and something that you want to explore more, I invite you to schedule a call with me to learn more about how this program can support you and what it's like to work with me. Again, you can reply to any of my emails that you get, or you can schedule on my website at maryellenflesher.com. That's Mary Ellen Flesher, FLESHER.com. Alrighty, well, thank you all so much for being here, for taking time out of your day to learn all about mental fitness training. This is really, really powerful work, and I am thrilled to be sharing it and sharing it more with the world. All right, well, you take care. Thanks so much. Bye.